Have you ever woken up at 3 a.m. and felt like someone was watching you? Right now, as you're listening to this, look at the darkest corner of your room. Do you see it? That shadow that seems a little too dark? A little too still? Keep watching it while I tell you something that will change how you sleep forever. When I was a kid, my mom told me monsters weren't real. She lied. They are real. They just hide better than we think. And tonight, I'm going to prove it to you with 5 true stories that happened to real kids. Kids who are now adults and still can't sleep without checking under their beds. Kids who still can't look in mirrors. Kids who know that the thing their parents said was just a bad dream was actually standing right there in their room. Story 1. The Thing in Sarah's Closet. Sarah. Mitchell was just 7 years old when her family moved to that old farmhouse in Kansas. It was 1996, middle of summer, and the house looked perfect in the daylight. You know how some houses just feel wrong the moment you walk in? This wasn't one of those houses. At least not at first. It felt normal. It felt safe. That's what made what happened next so much worse. The house was big and white, sitting all alone in the middle of nowhere. The nearest neighbor was 2 miles away. Sarah's dad got it cheap because the last family left suddenly. They didn't even pack their stuff. Just left everything and ran. The real estate agent said they had money problems. But that wasn't true. Sarah found out later what really made them run. But by then, it was too late. Sarah's room was upstairs at the end of a long hallway. The hallway that seemed to get longer at night. You know that feeling when you're a kid and you have to walk down a dark hallway? How it feels like something is going to grab you. Sarah felt that every single night. But she told herself she was being a baby. Big girls aren't afraid of the dark. Her room had pink walls because pink was her favorite color. She had a small bed with a unicorn blanket her grandma made for her, a white dresser with stickers all over it, and that closet. God, that closet. It had these old sliding doors that were made of wood. Heavy doors that made a rumbling sound when you opened them. Like thunder. Like a growl. The first night in the new house, Sarah was so tired from moving boxes all day that she fell asleep fast. But at exactly 2:47 a.m., she woke up. She remembers the time because she had a digital clock next to her bed that glowed red in the dark. 2:47 a.m. She didn't know why she woke up. She just did, like something had called her name in her sleep. She lay there in the dark, listening. The house was quiet. Too quiet. You know how houses usually make little sounds at night? The refrigerator humming, the air conditioner clicking on and off, pipes making noise. This house was dead silent. Like it was holding its breath. Like it was waiting for something. Then she heard it. A soft scratching sound coming from her closet. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Like fingernails on wood. But not just fingernails. Long fingernails. Sharp ones. Sarah pulled her blanket up to her chin and stared at the closet doors. They were closed. She was sure they were closed. Her mom had closed them before saying goodnight. But in the thin line between the 2 sliding doors, she could see darkness. Not regular darkness. This was different. This was the kind of darkness that seems alive. The kind that moves when you're not looking directly at it. The kind that has eyes. The scratching stopped. Sarah held her breath. Maybe it was just a mouse. Old houses have mice, right? She started to relax. Then she heard something that made her whole body go cold. Sarah. It was a whisper, but not a normal whisper. This sounded like it was made of wind and dust, and things that had been dead for a long time. It knew her name. The thing in the closet knew her name. Sarah, come here. She wanted to scream for her parents, but her voice was stuck in her throat. She couldn't move. She could only watch as the closet doors started to slide open. Slowly. So slowly. First just an inch, then 2. Then wide enough for her to see inside. But she couldn't see inside, because the darkness in there was too thick. It was like looking into a black hole, and in that darkness, 2 eyes opened. Pale white eyes with no pupils, just white, like milk, like bones. They stared at her without blinking. I've been waiting for you, Sarah. I've been waiting so long. Sarah found her voice and screamed. She screamed so loud that her throat hurt. Her parents came running, turning on the light. The closet doors were closed. Everything looked normal. Her dad opened the closet and showed her it was just clothes and toys. Her mom hugged her and said it was just a nightmare. But Sarah knew better. Because on the floor in front of the closet, there were scratch marks, fresh ones, and they spelled out a word. Soon. Her parents didn't see the scratches. Only Sarah could see them. That's when she knew this thing, whatever it was just for her. It had chosen her. The next night, Sarah begged to sleep in her parents' room. They said no. They said she was a big girl, and big girls sleep in their own beds. So Sarah did something she saw in a movie once. She put toys in front of the closet doors. If something tried to open them, the toys would fall and make noise. At 2:47 a.m., she woke up again. The toys were gone. Not knocked over, gone, like they never existed. And the closet doors were wide open. This time, she could see into the closet. But it wasn't her closet anymore. It was a long, dark tunnel that went on forever. And at the far end, she could see a small light, like a candle. And next to that light, a figure. It was tall and thin, with arms that were too long and fingers that dragged on the ground. It was walking toward her, getting closer with each second. "Sarah," it called, and its voice was clearer now. "Come play with me. I have such wonderful games to show you. Games that last forever." Sarah couldn't move. She was frozen in her bed, watching this thing get closer and closer. She could see its face now. It had no nose, just 2 holes. Its mouth was too wide, stretching from ear to ear, filled with teeth that looked like broken glass. Its skin was gray and looked wet, like it was rotting. It reached the opening of the closet and started to step out into her room. One long, twisted leg came out first, then an arm that bent in 3 places instead of 2. It was coming for her. That's when Sarah's grandma's voice popped into her head. Her grandma who had died last year. She heard her say clear as day, "When evil comes, you say the Lord's name. You say it loud and you say it proud." Sarah didn't go to church much, but she remembered. "Jesus!" she screamed. "Jesus, help me!" The thing stopped. It made a sound like a cat being strangled. Black liquid poured from its mouth. It stumbled backward, back into the closet, back into that endless tunnel. The door slammed shut so hard that the whole house shook. Sarah's parents came running again. This time, they found Sarah standing in the middle of her room, pointing at the closet, saying over and over, "It was here. It was here. It was here." They moved her to a different room that night, and the next day, her dad decided to check the closet more carefully. He pulled out all the clothes and toys. He knocked on the walls. The back wall sounded hollow. He got his tools and pulled off the panel. Behind it was a small space, like a tiny room. And in that room, they found things that made them call the police. They found bones, small bones, child-sized bones. They found old clothes from different time periods. A dress from the 1950s, overalls from the 1970s, a t-shirt from the 1980s, all child-sized, all torn and covered in what looked like claw marks. But the worst thing they found was a journal. It belonged to a man named Walter Hendricks, who had lived in the house in 1934. The journal talked about how he had made a deal with something he called the Keeper. He would feed it children, and it would give him power and money. The last entry said, "It lives in the spaces between spaces. It travels through closets and dark places. It takes the young ones because they taste the sweetest. I have given it 7. It wants more. It always wants more." The police investigated but found no records of Walter Hendricks. It was like he never existed. They took the bones for testing, but the results made no sense. The bones were human, but they were also something else. The DNA had been changed somehow, mixed with something that wasn't from Earth. Sarah's family moved out the next week. They stayed in a hotel until they found a new house. A house with no closets, just wardrobes. Sarah is 34 now. She has kids of her own. And she has a rule in her house. No closets. Ever. She turned all the closets into regular rooms with regular doors that she can lock from the outside. Because sometimes, late at night, she still hears that scratching sound. Not from a closet because she doesn't have any, but from inside the walls. Like something is trying to claw its way through. Like something is still looking for her, still calling her name, still waiting for her to come play those games that last forever. And sometimes, when she tucks her own kids into bed, she sees something in their eyes. A flash of white, like they've seen something in their closets too, something they're not telling her about. Something that whispers their names at 2:47 a.m. Story 2. The boy who wasn't there. Tommy Rodriguez was the kind of kid who didn't make friends easy. He was small for his age, quiet, and his clothes were always a little too big because his mom bought them from thrift stores. It was 1988 in Detroit, and his mom Rosa worked 3 jobs just to keep food on the table. Tommy spent a lot of time alone in their small apartment while she was at work. That's why Rosa was happy when Tommy told her he'd made a friend. She didn't question why this friend only came over when she wasn't home. She was just glad her boy wasn't lonely anymore. The friend's name was Marcus. According to Tommy, Marcus was 8 years old, 2 years older than Tommy. He had dark hair, always wore a red striped shirt, and was missing his front tooth. Tommy talked about Marcus all the time. Marcus taught him card games. Marcus told him jokes. Marcus shared his toys. Rosa thought it was sweet that Tommy had such a detailed imagination. Every day, when Rosa came home from her morning shift at the diner, she'd find Tommy in his room, playing and talking to empty air. "Marcus had to go home," Tommy would say. "His mom doesn't like him to stay out too long." Rosa would smile and ruffle his hair, then make lunch while Tommy told her all about his morning with Marcus. But then weird things started happening. Things that made Rosa pay attention in a different way. First, there were the toys. Tommy started having toys Rosa had never bought. Old toys that looked like they came from another time. A wooden yo-yo with the paint chipped off. A bag of marbles made of real glass, not plastic. A deck of cards with pictures she'd never seen before. When she asked Tommy where he got them, he said Marcus gave them to him. He said I could keep them because he doesn't need them anymore, Tommy explained. Then there were the things Tommy knew that he shouldn't know. One day, Rosa was humming a song while cooking dinner. Tommy looked up and said, "Marcus knows that song." He said his mom used to sing it when she gave him baths. The song was in Polish. Rosa's grandmother had sung it to her, but she'd never sung it to Tommy. She didn't even know she was humming it. It just came out. Another time, Tommy drew a picture of a building Rosa had never seen before. It was detailed, with specific windows and doors and even a sign above the entrance. "Marcus showed me where he used to live," Tommy said. Rosa kept the picture, thinking it was just Tommy's imagination. But a week later, she was taking a different route home from work when she saw it. The exact building from Tommy's drawing. It was abandoned, boarded up, with a faded sign that said, "St. Mary's Home for Children." Rosa's hands shook on the steering wheel. She'd never driven this way before. Tommy had never been to this part of the city. The night everything changed was October 15th, 1988. Rosa woke up at 2 a.m. to the sound of Tommy talking in his room. This wasn't unusual. Tommy often talked in his sleep. But then she heard another voice. A child's voice, but wrong somehow. It sounded hollow, like it was coming from the bottom of a well. "You promised," the voice said. "You promised you'd come play at my house." "But I don't want to go there," Tommy replied. "You said it's dark and cold and there are no windows." "That's because it's underground," the other voice said. "But it's nice once you get used to it. And you'll never be lonely. There are lots of kids there. They've been waiting to meet you." Rosa jumped out of bed and ran to Tommy's room. She threw open the door and turned on the light. Tommy was sitting up in bed, staring at the corner of the room. He was alone, but the air in that corner was different. It was colder and there was a smell like wet dirt and something else. Something that had been dead for a long time. "Who were you talking to, baby?" Rosa asked, trying to keep her voice calm. "Marcus," Tommy said, still looking at the corner. "He's right there." "Can't you see him, Mama? He's wearing his red shirt." Rosa looked at the corner. She saw nothing. But the temperature kept dropping. Her breath came out in little white puffs. "In October. In an apartment with the heat on. Tell Marcus to go home," Rosa said firmly. "Tell him he can't come here anymore." Tommy's eyes went wide. "But Mama, he'll be sad. He says you're being mean. He says you don't understand what it's like to be alone for so long." That's when Rosa saw it. Just for a second. A shadow in the corner that didn't match anything in the room. A shadow shaped like a small boy. And in that shadow, 2 eyes that reflected the light like an animal's. Rosa grabbed Tommy and pulled him out of the room. They spent the rest of the night in Rosa's bed with all the lights on. The next morning, Rosa called in sick to work. She was going to find out who Marcus really was. She started at the library, looking through old newspapers. For hours, she found nothing. Then, in a newspaper from 1961, she saw it. A headline that made her stomach drop. "Local boy missing from St. Mary's Home for Children." The article had a picture. A boy with dark hair, wearing a red striped shirt, missing his front tooth. His name was Marcus Webb. He was 8 years old when he disappeared from St. Mary's Home for Children. They searched for weeks but never found him. The article mentioned that Marcus was known for teaching card games to younger children and sharing his toys. Rosa's hands shook as she read the follow-up articles. 3 months after Marcus disappeared, they were doing construction near St. Mary's when they found something. A basement that had been sealed off years before. Inside, they found the body of a young boy. The body was identified as Marcus Webb. He had been trapped when the basement was accidentally sealed during renovations. He had died alone in the dark, scratching at the walls, trying to get out. Rosa drove straight to St. Mary's. The building was abandoned now, just like in Tommy's drawing. She walked around it until she found a small memorial plaque covered in weeds. It read, "In memory of Marcus Webb and all the forgotten children, may they find peace." When Rosa got home, Tommy was in his room. She could hear him talking. "Marcus says you know about him now. He says you went to his old home. He says you're scared of him." Rosa entered the room. This time she could see Marcus clearly. He was exactly like the picture in the newspaper, but his skin was pale blue, and his eyes were black holes. Dirt fell from his clothes when he moved. His fingernails were torn and bloody from scratching at walls that wouldn't open. "I just want a friend," Marcus said, and his voice was the saddest sound Rosa had ever heard. "I was alone in the dark for so long. No one could hear me screaming. No one came to help. And when they finally found me, it was too late. I was already gone." "I'm sorry about what happened to you," Rosa said, tears running down her face. "But you can't take my son. He belongs here, with the living." Marcus looked at Tommy. "You said we'd be friends forever. You promised." Tommy was crying too. "I'm sorry, Marcus. I can't come with you, but I'll remember you. I promise I'll remember you." Marcus stood there for a long moment. Then he smiled. And for a second, he looked like a normal little boy. "Okay," he said. "But can I ask for one thing? Just remember my name. Tell people I existed. Tell them I was real." Rosa nodded. "We'll remember you, Marcus. Always." Marcus started to fade. As he disappeared, he said one last thing. "There are others like me. Other kids who got lost and forgotten. They're looking for friends, too. Be careful who your children play with. Not all of them are as nice as me." Then he was gone. The room warmed up immediately. The smell disappeared. It was like he had never been there at all. Except for the toys. Tommy still had the toys Marcus had given him. Rosa let him keep them. It seemed wrong to throw away the only things left of a boy who had been forgotten for so long. Tommy is an adult now, with children of his own. He still has those toys in a box in his attic, and sometimes his kids ask about them. "Where did these old toys come from, Dad?" They'll say, and Tommy always gives the same answer. "They belong to a friend of mine named Marcus. He was a good kid who had some bad luck, but he was real, and he mattered, and we remember him." But Tommy never tells them the whole truth. He never tells them that sometimes, on quiet nights, he can still hear Marcus's voice, not calling him to come play anymore, but warning him about the others, the forgotten children who are still looking for friends, the ones who aren't as nice as Marcus, the ones who don't take no for an answer. And sometimes, when Tommy's kids come home from school talking about new friends they've made, friends that only come over when the adults aren't around, friends who wear old-fashioned clothes and smell like earth, Tommy pays very close attention, because Marcus was right. There are others, and they're still looking for playmates to take back to the dark places where forgotten children go. Story 3. Grandmother's last visit. Amy Chen was 9 years old when it happened. It was October 2001, and she lived in a nice house in San Francisco with her parents and her grandmother. Everyone called her grandmother Nai Nai, which means grandma in Chinese. Nai Nai had lived with them for 3 years, ever since she got too old to live alone. She was starting to forget things, and sometimes she would call Amy by her mother's name, but she was kind and gentle and loved Amy more than anything in the world. Every single night, Nai Nai would come to Amy's room to say goodnight. It was their special time. Nai Nai would sit on the edge of Amy's bed, stroke her hair, and sing an old Chinese song about a bird flying home. The song was in Chinese, and Amy didn't understand all the words, but she loved hearing it. It made her feel safe and loved, but on October 14th, something was different. Very different. Amy had gone to bed at 8:30 like always. Nina came in at 8:45 like always. But when she sat on the bed, Amy felt the mattress sink down more than usual. Like Nina had suddenly gained 100 pounds. And when Nina started stroking her hair, her hand felt wrong. Too cold, too heavy, and her fingers seemed longer than before. "My precious granddaughter," Nina said, but her voice was different, deeper, rougher. Like she had been smoking cigarettes for 50 years, even though Nina had never smoked in her life. "You look so beautiful when you sleep. So peaceful. So delicious." Amy's eyes snapped open. Nina was smiling, but it wasn't her normal smile. This smile was too wide, showing too many teeth. And her eyes, Nina had brown eyes, but these eyes were black. Completely black, like someone had poured oil into them. "Nina?" Amy whispered. "Are you okay?" "I'm better than okay, my dear," Nina said, still stroking Amy's hair with those wrong fingers. "I'm hungry, so very, very hungry, and you're going to help Nina eat." Amy tried to sit up, but Nina's hand pressed down on her chest, holding her in place. The hand was so strong, stronger than her dad's hands, stronger than any person's hands should be. "Shh, shh, shh," Nina whispered, leaning closer. Her breath smelled wrong. It smelled like the garbage disposal when food had been rotting in it for weeks. "We don't want to wake Mommy and Daddy. They're sleeping so deeply tonight. I made sure of that. A little something in their tea. They won't wake up for hours." Amy started to cry. "You're not my Nai. Where's my real Nai?" The thing that looked like Nai laughed. It was a horrible sound, like glass breaking mixed with a pig squealing. "Your Nai is right here. I'm wearing her, like a coat. Such a nice warm coat. And when I'm done with her, I'll wear you too. You'll make a beautiful coat for something like me." Amy could see it now. Nai's face was wrong because something was underneath it. Something pushing against the skin from inside, making it bulge in weird places. And at the neck, where Nai's nightgown collar was, Amy could see the skin was torn. Black liquid was leaking out, dripping onto Amy's blanket. "I've been living in this house for so long," the thing said. "Living in the walls, in the spaces people don't look. Feeding on scraps, rats, insects, the occasional pet. But I'm so tired of scraps. I want a real meal. And children taste the best. All that life, all that energy, all that fear. It seasons the meat so perfectly." The thing opened its mouth, and Amy saw that behind Nai's teeth were more teeth. Rows and rows of them, going back into a throat that seemed to go on forever. Black liquid dripped from them, sizzling when it hit the blanket like acid. Amy did the only thing she could think of. She screamed. She screamed louder than she had ever screamed in her life. The thing covered her mouth with its hand, but Amy bit down hard. The skin broke easily, too easily, like biting into a rotten apple. Black blood filled her mouth, burning her tongue and throat. It tasted like metal and rot and things that should never be tasted. The thing pulled back, shrieking. Its disguise was failing now. Nai's face was sliding off like a mask made of melted wax. Underneath was something that didn't have a real shape. It was constantly changing, like smoke made solid, with eyes that appeared and disappeared, mouths that opened and closed, and tentacles that writhed and reached. Amy rolled off the bed and ran for the door. But the thing was faster. It blocked her path, still partly wearing Nai's face like a broken Halloween mask. "You can't escape," it said with multiple voices now. "I've marked you. You're mine. You've always been mine, ever since you moved into this house. I've been watching you, waiting for you to ripen. And now you're ready." Amy grabbed the lamp from her nightstand and threw it at the thing. It passed right through its body like it was made of jelly. But the light from the lamp did something. Where the light touched it, the thing smoked and pulled back. "The light hurts, doesn't it?" Amy said, suddenly understanding. She ran to the light switch and turned on the overhead light. The thing shrieked and pulled back into the corner, trying to stay in the shadows. Amy's parents finally woke up. They must have heard the screaming through whatever the thing had given them. They ran into the room and saw Amy pressed against the wall, pointing at the corner where something that might have been Nai was crouched. "What's wrong? What happened?" her mother asked. "That's not Nai," Amy screamed. "It's something else. It's wearing her." Her parents looked at the corner. In the bright light, it looked more like Nai again. The thing had pulled her face back into place, though it didn't fit quite right. One eye was higher than the other, and the mouth was on sideways. I heard Amy screaming, the thing said in a perfect imitation of Nine-Eye's voice. I came to check on her. She must have had a nightmare. Amy's father noticed something. Mom, why are you wearing your coat? Everyone looked. Nine-Eye was indeed wearing her heavy winter coat over her nightgown, and her shoes, and her purse was over her shoulder. I don't remember, the thing said, but its voice was slipping, becoming multiple voices. Young voices, old voices, male voices, female voices, all the voices of all the people it had eaten over the years. Amy's mother stepped toward Nine-Eye, but Amy grabbed her arm. Don't touch it. It's not human. That's when they all saw it. Black liquid was pooling under Nine-Eye's feet, and in that liquid things were moving. Small white things. Teeth. Human teeth. Children's teeth. The thing gave up its disguise. Nine-Eye's face fell off completely, hitting the floor with a wet slap. What stood in the corner was a nightmare made real. It had no fixed form, constantly shifting between shapes. One moment it had 10 arms, the next it had none. Eyes opened and closed all over its body. Mouths appeared, screamed, and disappeared. I'm so hungry, it said with 100 voices. I've been so hungry for so long. This family was supposed to be mine. The old woman was just the appetizer. The child was meant to be the main course. And you two, it looked at Amy's parents, would have been dessert. Amy's father grabbed his family and pushed them behind him. What are you? What do you want? I am hunger, the thing said. I am the space between spaces. I am the thing that watches from the dark. I have no name because names are for things that belong in this world, and I don't belong here. I just visit to feed. It started moving toward them, leaving a trail of black slime. The lights began to flicker. The thing was somehow eating the light, drawing the room into darkness. That's when they heard it. A voice from the doorway, weak but clear. Amy. Run. It was Nine-Eye. The real Nine-Eye. She was crawling down the hallway, leaving a trail of blood. She was hurt, badly hurt, but alive. It came 3 days ago. Nine-Eye gasped. It ate pieces of me, took my shape. I've been locked in the attic. It forgot to finish me. The thing roared in fury. Impossible! I consumed you. You consumed my body, Nine-Eye said, pulling herself up using the door frame. But not my spirit. And in this house, with my family, my spirit is stronger than your hunger. Nine-Eye began to speak in Chinese. Old words, words that Amy had never heard before, words that seemed to burn the air itself. The thing screamed and writhed, pulling back from Nine-Eye. These are words of binding, Nine-Eye said. Words my grandmother taught me. Words to send hungry ghosts back where they belong. The thing was shrinking now, pulling into itself. This isn't over, it said with its many voices. I'll come back. I always come back. And next time, I'll wear one of you from the inside out. With a sound like reality tearing, the thing collapsed into a single point and disappeared. The room was suddenly normal again. No black liquid, no teeth, no sign that anything had happened except for the broken lamp and Nine-Eye's blood in the hallway. They rushed Nine-Eye to the hospital. She survived barely. The doctors couldn't explain her injuries. It looked like something had been eating her from the inside, taking small bites over the course of days. But that was impossible. Things don't eat people from the inside. Except this thing did. Nine-Eye lived for 3 more months. She spent that time teaching Amy the old words, the words of protection. She said the thing would come back. Maybe not for Amy, maybe not for years, but it would come back. It would find another family, another grandmother, another child, and someone needed to know how to stop it. The night Nine-Eye died, Amy was holding her hand. Nine-Eye's last words were, "It's still hungry, Amy. It will always be hungry. Don't let it feed." Amy is 31 now. She knows the words. She teaches them to others, to families who contact her about strange things happening in their homes, about grandparents acting wrong, about black liquid and too many teeth. She can't save them all. Sometimes she's too late. Sometimes the thing has already fed and moved on. But she keeps trying. Because somewhere out there, right now, the thing is watching another family. It's waiting for the right moment. It's preparing to wear another grandmother like a coat. And somewhere, a child is noticing that Grandma's eyes are too black, her smile is too wide, and her hands are too cold. If you're that child, if you're reading this, remember, Trust your instincts. If someone you love suddenly seems wrong, they might not be themselves anymore. They might be a coat for something hungry, something that wants to wear you next. Story 4. The Playground After Dark. Every town has that one place. You know what I'm talking about. That place where kids dare each other to go. That place where parents tell you never to play. That place where something bad happened a long time ago and nobody wants to talk about it. In the small town of Millbrook, that place was the old playground behind Riverside Elementary School. And in 1994, 8-year-old Jason Winters made the biggest mistake of his life. He went there after dark. It started like any other day at school. Jason was eating lunch with his friends when Brad, the biggest kid in 3rd grade, walked up to their table. Brad was the kind of kid who always had something to prove. He liked to make other kids feel small, and that day, he picked Jason. "Hey, Jason," Brad said with a mean smile on his face. "I heard you're too scared to go to the old playground." Jason felt his face get hot. All his friends were watching. "I'm not scared of anything," he said, trying to sound brave. Brad laughed. It was not a nice laugh. "Oh, really? Then I dare you. Go to the old playground tonight, after dark. Stay there for 1 whole hour, alone." Everyone at the table got quiet. They all knew about the old playground. They all knew what happened there 7 years ago. 3 kids had died on that playground. The story was that they were playing on the merry-go-round during a storm. Something went wrong. The merry-go-round started spinning faster and faster. The kids couldn't let go. They screamed for help, but nobody heard them. The next morning, they found the 3 kids still on the merry-go-round. They were dead. Their hands were stuck to the metal bars like they had been glued there. After that, the school built a new playground on the other side of the building. They put a fence around the old one with a big sign that said, "Keep out." But the fence had holes in it. Kids could still get in if they really wanted to. Most kids were too scared to try. "Well," Brad said, still smiling that mean smile, "are you going to do it? Or are you a little baby?" Jason looked at his friends. They all looked worried. His best friend Mike shook his head, trying to tell Jason not to do it. But Jason couldn't back down, not with everyone watching. "I'll do it," Jason said. "Tonight?" Brad's smile got bigger. "Good. Be there at 8 o'clock. That's 1 hour after the sun goes down. Stay until 9. We'll be watching from outside the fence to make sure you really do it." The rest of the day went by too fast. Jason couldn't pay attention in class. He kept thinking about the playground, about those 3 kids, about what might be waiting for him in the dark. When Jason got home, his mom asked him how school was. "Fine," he lied. He ate dinner but could barely taste the food. His stomach felt sick. At 7:30, he told his mom he was going to bed early. She was surprised but happy. "Good for you getting extra sleep," she said, kissing his forehead. Jason went to his room and waited. When he heard his parents turn on the TV in the living room, he opened his window and climbed out. It was already dark outside. The air was cold and wet. Fog was starting to form, making it hard to see very far. The walk to the school took 10 minutes. With each step, Jason wanted to turn back, but he kept thinking about Brad calling him a baby. He kept thinking about his friends watching him back down. He had to do this. When he got to the playground, Brad and 3 other kids were waiting by the fence. "There he is," Brad said. "We thought you were too scared to show up." Jason didn't say anything. He found the hole in the fence and squeezed through. The metal scraped his jacket, making a sound like fingernails on a chalkboard. The playground looked different in the dark. The swings moved slowly in the wind, making a sound like crying. The slide looked like a giant mouth waiting to swallow someone, and the merry-go-round sat in the middle like a sleeping monster. 1 hour, Brad called out. "Starting now. It's 8 o'clock. If you leave before 9, everyone at school will know you're a scared little baby." Jason watched Brad and the others walk away. They said they would watch from across the street, but Jason saw them get on their bikes and leave. They were too scared to stay, even outside the fence. Now Jason was really alone. He sat on one of the swings and looked at his watch. The green numbers glowed in the dark. 8:02. 58 minutes to go. That's when he heard it. Laughter. Children laughing. But it didn't sound right. It sounded like when you play a tape recorder with dying batteries. Slow and weird and wrong, Jason stood up. "Hello?" he called out. "Is someone there?" The laughter stopped. Everything went quiet. Not normal quiet. The kind of quiet that happens when everything is listening. When everything is waiting, then he saw them. 3 kids walked out of the fog. 2 boys and a girl. They looked about Jason's age, maybe a little older. But their clothes were strange. Old-fashioned. Like the clothes kids wore in his grandmother's old photos. The boys wore shorts and button-up shirts. The girl wore a dress with a big bow. But it was their skin that made Jason want to run. It was white. Not normal white like when you're sick. White like paper. White like milk. And he could see dark lines under their skin. Like their veins were full of ink instead of blood. "Hi," the girl said. Her voice sounded far away, even though she was standing right in front of him. "Want to play with us?" Jason took a step back. His foot hit the swing, making it move. The chains made a screaming sound. I'm just here for a dare. I have to stay for an hour." The taller boy smiled. When he did, Jason saw that his teeth were wrong. There were too many of them. They were sharp like a dog's teeth. "We've been waiting for someone to play with us. We've been waiting so long." "Since the accident?" the smaller boy added. His voice sounded wet, like he was talking underwater. Jason's whole body felt cold. These were the 3 kids. The ones who died on the merry-go-round. But that was impossible. Dead kids don't come back. Dead kids don't talk. "You're not real," Jason whispered. "You can't be real," the girl laughed. It was the same wrong laughter he heard before. Real is a funny word. "We're as real as you are, maybe more real. We've been here longer." "We just want to play," the tall boy said. "Just one game. Then you can go." "What kind of game?" Jason asked. He didn't want to know, but he had to ask. All 3 kids smiled at the same time. "Hide and seek. We hide. You find us. If you find all 3 of us before your hour is up, you win. You can leave. What if I don't find you all?" Jason's voice was shaking. The girl's smile got bigger. "Then you stay with us. Forever. And we'll have 4 kids to play with instead of 3. Before Jason could say no, the 3 kids vanished. They didn't run away. They didn't hide. They just disappeared like smoke. Then he heard them counting together. 1, 2, 3. "Ready or not, here you come." Jason looked at his watch. 8:15. He had 45 minutes to find 3 dead kids in a dark playground. He had no choice. He had to play their game. The playground seemed bigger now. Different. The slide that was only 10 feet long during the day seemed to go on forever in the dark. When Jason climbed up to look down it, he couldn't see the bottom. Just black. He walked to the monkey bars. They stretched out into the fog. He counted 20 bars. But in the daytime, there were only 12. How was that possible? A giggle came from under the merry-go-round. Jason got down on his hands and knees to look. The smaller boy was there, but he was hanging upside down. His head was turned all the way around like an owl's head. When he saw Jason, he smiled with all those sharp teeth. "You found me," the boy said. Then he disappeared like a bubble popping. Jason looked at his watch. 8:30. 2 more to find. 30 minutes left. He heard singing coming from the slide. That old song kids sing, "Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies." But the words were different. Wrong. "Ring around the playground. Pocket full of darkness, ashes, ashes, we never fall down." Jason climbed the slide ladder. Each step felt like climbing a mountain. His legs were heavy. His hands were sweating even though it was cold. When he got to the top, he looked down the slide. The girl was in there halfway down, but she wasn't sliding. She was crawling up toward him like a spider. Her arms and legs bent in ways that made Jason's stomach sick. When she saw him, her eyes turned completely white. No black parts at all, just white balls in her head. "Good job!" she screamed, and the sound hurt Jason's ears. Then she was gone. 8:45. 1 more kid to find. 15 minutes left. Jason looked everywhere. He checked the swings, the seesaw, the little playhouse that smelled like rot and dead animals. The tall boy was nowhere. 10 minutes. Jason was running now. His chest hurt from breathing so hard. His legs felt like they might give up. Where was the last kid? 8:55. 5 minutes. That's when Jason felt it. Cold breath on his neck. Someone standing right behind him. He had been there the whole time, following Jason, watching him, always staying just out of sight. Jason didn't turn around. He couldn't. He was too scared, but he had to win the game. He had to say it. "I found you," Jason whispered. "You're right behind me." For a moment, nothing happened. The whole playground was silent. Then the tall boy spoke, his mouth so close to Jason's ear that Jason could smell his breath. It smelled like dirt, like being buried. "Yes," the boy said. "You found me. You win." This time, Jason still didn't turn around. "Can I go now?" "Yes, but Jason, we'll be waiting for you." "We're always waiting. And one day when you're older, when you have kids of your own, you'll come back." "Everyone always comes back." "No," Jason said. "I'll never come back," the boy laughed. It wasn't the scary laugh from before. It was sad, like he knew something Jason didn't. That's what they all say. But the playground calls to people. It whispers their names in their dreams. It shows them memories of swings and slides and happy times. And eventually they come back, with their children, to show them where they used to play. Jason felt the cold presence behind him disappear. He looked at his watch. 9:01, he had done it. He had won. He ran. He ran faster than he ever ran before. Through the hole in the fence, down the street, all the way home. He climbed back through his window and got into bed with all his clothes on. He pulled the covers over his head and stayed there until morning. The next day at school, Brad asked him if he really did it. Jason said yes. Brad didn't believe him at first. But then Jason told him about the 3 kids. He described them perfectly. Brad's face went white. "My older brother saw them too," Brad whispered. "When he did the dare 5 years ago, he said they wanted to play a game with him too." Jason never went near that playground again. Not in elementary school, not in middle school, not in high school. He moved away for college and never came back to Millbrook. But here's the thing. Here's the part that makes this story really scary. Jason is 38 years old now. He has a son named Tyler who just turned 8, the same age Jason was when he went to the playground. And last week, Jason got a phone call from his mom. "I have bad news," she said. "They're tearing down your old elementary school. But before they do, they're having a reunion. All the old students are invited to walk through one last time, to say goodbye." Jason said no immediately. But his mom kept asking. "It would mean so much to me," she said. "And Tyler would love to see where his daddy went to school." So Jason agreed. Just a quick visit, in the daytime. Stay with the group. Don't go near the playground. But when they got there, Tyler saw the old playground through the window. Even with the fence around it, even with the keep out signs, Tyler's eyes lit up. "Dad, can we go see it?" "Please, just for a minute?" "No," Jason said. "Absolutely not." But later, when Jason was talking to an old teacher, Tyler slipped away. By the time Jason noticed he was gone, it was too late. He found Tyler at the fence, staring through the holes at the playground. And standing on the other side, visible only to Jason, were 3 pale children. They were waving at Tyler, smiling at him with too many teeth. "Hi," Tyler said to them. "Want to play?" Jason grabbed Tyler and pulled him away. They left immediately, got in the car and drove home. Tyler cried the whole way, not understanding why his dad was so upset. That night, Tyler had a dream. He told Jason about it the next morning. "I dreamed about those kids at the playground," he said. "They told me their names. They said they're lonely. They want me to come play hide and seek with them." Jason packed up their things that day. They moved to another state, far away from Millbrook, far away from the playground. But sometimes, late at night, Jason hears Tyler talking to someone in his room. When he asks who he's talking to, Tyler always says the same thing. "My new friends. They followed us here. They say every playground is connected. They say they can find me anywhere. And Dad, they remember you. They say you promised to come back." Jason doesn't sleep much anymore. He watches Tyler constantly, because he knows, deep down, that the 3 children from the playground are still waiting, still watching. And one day, when he's not careful enough, when he looks away for just a second too long, they'll take Tyler back to play their game, and this time, they won't let him win. Story 5. The Reflection That Stayed. Let me ask you something. Right now, while you're listening to this, can you see yourself anywhere? In a window? In your phone screen when it's off? In a mirror across the room? Good, now wave at yourself. Did your reflection wave back at the exact same time? Or was there a tiny delay? Just a split second where it moved after you? Keep watching your reflection while I tell you about Emily Harper. But don't stare too long. That's how it starts. That's how it gets out. Emily was 10 years old in 2003. She lived in a nice house in Boston with her mom and dad. Emily was a quiet kid. She liked to read books and draw pictures. She didn't have many friends, but she didn't mind. She had her reflection. Now, every kid talks to themselves sometimes. It's normal. But Emily was different. She would sit in front of her bedroom mirror for hours, having full conversations with her reflection. Not pretending, actually talking to it like it was another person. "How was your day?" she would ask, and then she would wait. Like she was listening to an answer. "Mine was okay too," she would say. "Mrs. Johnson gave us a lot of math homework." Her parents thought it was cute at first. "Emily has such a good imagination," her mom would say. But as time went on, they started to worry. Emily was spending more and more time in front of that mirror. Sometimes they would hear her laughing at jokes they couldn't hear. Sometimes they would hear her arguing with someone who wasn't there. "Emily, honey," her mom said one day. "Who are you talking to?" "My friend," Emily said, pointing at the mirror. "But that's just your reflection, sweetheart." "That's just you," Emily shook her head. "No, she's different. She lives in the mirror world. Everything is backwards there." Her mom decided Emily just had an imaginary friend. Lots of kids have imaginary friends. It's healthy. It's normal. Except imaginary friends don't have their own ideas. Imaginary friends don't tell you things you don't already know. One night, Emily woke up at 3 a.m. She needed to use the bathroom. As she walked past her mirror, she glanced at it. What she saw made her stop. Her reflection was there. But it wasn't moving. Emily was walking, but her reflection was standing still, staring straight ahead. Emily stopped. She raised her hand. Her reflection didn't move. "Hello?" Emily whispered. Her reflection smiled. Then it waved. But Emily wasn't waving. Emily's hands were at her sides. "Hi, Emily," her reflection said. Its mouth moved, but the voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "I've been waiting for you to see me. The real me." Emily wanted to run, but her feet wouldn't move. They felt stuck to the floor, like something was holding them there. "Don't be scared," her reflection said. "We're friends, remember? We talk every day." "You're not supposed to move on your own," Emily whispered. "Reflections copy what we do. That's how mirrors work." The reflection laughed. It was Emily's laugh, but colder, meaner. "That's what they tell you. But mirrors don't show what is. They show what could be, what wants to be. And I want to be you. What?" Emily's voice was shaking. "I'm tired of living in the mirror," the reflection said. "It's cold here, dark. Everything is backwards and wrong. I want to live in your world. I want to be warm. I want to be real. But you're just my reflection." "No," the reflection said, and now its smile was gone. "You're my reflection. I'm the real Emily. You're the copy, and it's time we switched back." Emily tried to run, but she couldn't move. The reflection put its hand on the mirror from its side. "Touch the glass," it said. "Just put your hand where mine is. Then we can trade places." "It won't hurt much," Emily shook her head. No, I won't do it." The reflection's face changed. It got angry. Its eyes turned black. "I've been nice. I've been your friend. But I'm done waiting. Touch the glass!" The mirror started to crack. Small lines spread across it like a spider web. Emily felt herself being pulled toward it. Not by her body, but by something inside her, like the mirror was calling to her soul. "That's it," the reflection said as Emily got closer. Just a little more. Emily was fighting as hard as she could, but she was losing. Her hand was rising, reaching for the mirror. She was inches away from the glass when she heard her dad's voice. "Emily? What are you doing up?" The spell broke. Emily fell backward onto the floor. Her dad rushed to help her up. When she looked at the mirror, it was normal. No cracks. Her reflection moved when she moved. Everything was fine. "I had a nightmare," Emily said. Her dad carried her back to bed. "No more scary movies before bed," he said, kissing her forehead. But Emily knew it wasn't a nightmare. And now she was afraid to look at any mirror. For 3 weeks, Emily avoided mirrors. She brushed her teeth with her eyes closed. She got dressed in the dark. She walked past windows without looking at them. Her parents thought she was going through a phase. But you can't avoid reflections forever. They're everywhere. In spoons, in doorknobs, in puddles of water, and one day when Emily was eating soup, she saw it in her spoon, her reflection, smiling at her with black eyes. "You can't hide from me," it whispered. "I'm always here, always watching, and I'm getting stronger." That night, Emily woke up to the sound of glass breaking, but when she turned on the light, nothing was broken. Then she heard it again, and again. The sound was coming from inside the mirror. She looked, even though she didn't want to. Her reflection was there, punching the glass from the inside. Each hit made a crack, but the crack would heal immediately. "Let me out," the reflection screamed. "Let me out!" Emily covered the mirror with a blanket and pushed her dresser in front of it. But she could still hear the pounding. All night long. Pound, pound, pound. The next day, Emily was so tired she could barely stay awake at school. When she got home, she went straight to her room. The blanket was on the floor. The dresser was back in its original place, and the mirror was clear and clean, like nothing had happened. Standing in front of it was her reflection. But it wasn't copying her. It was just standing there, arms crossed, smiling. "You moved the dresser," Emily said. "No," the reflection replied. "You did. You just don't remember, just like you don't remember our talks. Our real talks, when you're asleep." "What do you mean?" The reflection's smile got bigger. "Every night when you dream, you come here, to the mirror world. We switch places for a few hours. I get to be warm and real, and you get to be cold and fake. But you never remember when you wake up." Emily felt sick. "That's not true, isn't it? Haven't you been having weird dreams lately? Dreams where everything is backwards? Where you can't speak? Where you're trapped behind glass?" Emily had been having those dreams. "Every night for weeks. Tonight," the reflection said, "we're going to switch for good. And this time, you won't wake up. You'll stay here, in the cold and the dark, forever. And I'll be Emily, the only Emily." Emily ran out of her room. She told her parents everything. They didn't believe her at first, but she was so upset, so terrified, that they agreed to remove the mirror from her room. When her dad went to take it down, he stopped. "Emily," he said slowly, "come here." Emily didn't want to, but she did. Her dad was staring at the mirror. "Look," he said. "Look at your reflection." Emily looked. Her reflection was there, copying her movements perfectly. But behind her reflection, in the mirror version of her room, everything was different. The walls were covered in scratches, deep gouges in the wallpaper that spelled out words. "Help me. Let me out. She's not Emily." "What is this?" her dad asked. Before Emily could answer, her reflection stopped copying her. It looked directly at her dad and spoke. "She's not your daughter. I'm your daughter. She trapped me in here. Please, Daddy, help me." Her dad stumbled backward. "This isn't possible." Both Emilys started talking at once, both claiming to be real, both begging for help. Her dad looked back and forth between them, confused and scared. That's when Emily's mom came in. She saw what was happening and grabbed the real Emily, pulling her out of the room. "That's not our daughter in the mirror," she said firmly. "I know my own child," the reflection screamed. It pounded on the glass so hard the whole house shook. Then suddenly it stopped, it smiled. A terrible, knowing smile. "Fine," it said. "Keep her. But know this. Every mirror she looks in, I'll be there. Every window, every puddle, every shiny surface. And one day, when she's not careful, when she forgets to be afraid, I'll pull her through, and then I'll be Emily forever." The mirror cracked down the middle and fell off the wall, shattering into 1,000 pieces. Emily's family moved the next week. They got rid of every mirror in their new house. They covered the windows with curtains that never opened. They even got rid of the TV because the black screen showed reflections. But it didn't matter. The reflection found other ways to watch. Emily would see it in her cereal milk, in the metal of cars driving by, in her teacher's glasses, always watching, always waiting. Emily is 31 now. She lives alone in a small apartment with no mirrors, no windows, no reflective surfaces of any kind. She works from home. She never goes out during the day when puddles and windows might show her reflection. But last week, something happened. Emily ordered groceries online like always. When they arrived, there was something extra in the bag, something she didn't order. A small hand mirror. There was a note attached. I'm still waiting. Your real self, Emily threw the mirror away immediately. But the next day, it was back on her kitchen table. And the next day, it was on her pillow. And the next day, she woke up holding it. She finally looked. She had to. And there was her reflection, unchanged after all these years. Still 10 years old, still smiling, still waiting. Hi, Emily, it said. Ready to switch? I've been so patient, but patience runs out. Tonight, when you sleep, don't be surprised if you dream about mirrors. Don't be surprised if you can't wake up. Don't be surprised when you open your eyes and find yourself on the wrong side of the glass. Emily doesn't sleep anymore. She takes pills to stay awake. She drinks coffee all day and energy drinks all night, but she knows she can't stay awake forever. Nobody can. And when she finally falls asleep, when her eyes finally close, her reflection will be ready. It's been practicing for 21 years. It knows everything about her. It knows how to be her, and the real Emily, she'll be trapped in the mirror world, screaming for help that will never come. Just another reflection that nobody believes is real. So there you have them. 5 true stories from real childhoods. 5 stories that prove the monsters we feared as kids were real all along. Sarah still hears scratching in her walls. Tommy still sees Marcus in the corner of his eye. Amy still hears her grandmother calling her name. Jason's son still dreams about the pale children at the playground. And Emily is running out of time. Maybe you think these are just stories. Maybe you think I made them up to scare you. I wish that was true. I really do. But right now, while you've been listening to these stories, something has been happening. Something you didn't notice. Remember when I asked you to look behind you at the beginning? Do it again. Right now, look behind you. Is everything the same? Or is something different? A door that was closed is now open? A shadow that wasn't there before? A reflection in the window that's still looking at you even though you turned away? These stories do something when you hear them. They wake things up. They make things notice you. And now that you've heard all 5, you're marked. Just like Sarah, Tommy, Amy, Jason, and Emily were marked. Tonight, when you go to bed, you'll hear things. Scratching in the walls. Voices in the corner. Footsteps that stop right outside your door. You'll see things in the mirrors, in the windows, in the dark corners of your room, and you'll wonder, are these just stories, or are they warnings? Here's what you need to remember. Don't answer when something calls your name at night. Don't look in mirrors when you're alone. Don't go to old playgrounds after dark. Don't trust anyone who looks like someone you know but feels wrong. And whatever you do, whatever happens, don't investigate the strange noises. Just pull your blanket over your head, close your eyes tight, and wait for morning. If morning comes, because now that you know these stories, now that you believe them, you're part of them, and they're part of you. Forever, sweet dreams. If you can sleep at all. Before I go, let me tell you one more thing. These 5 people, Sarah, Tommy, Amy, Jason, and Emily, they all have something in common. They all heard these same stories when they were young, from someone else, someone who wanted to warn them. But hearing the stories didn't protect them. It called to the things in the dark. It invited them in. And now you've heard them too. Listen. Do you hear that? That sound in your house right now? That wasn't there before you started listening to this. That's them. They know you now. They know where you are. They know you believe, and belief is all they need to become real. Thank you for listening. Share these stories if you want to warn others. Or maybe don't share them. Maybe keep them to yourself. Because everyone who hears them becomes part of the story. And the story never ends. It just waits for the next person brave enough or foolish enough to listen. Remember, they're not just under your bed anymore. They're not just in your closet. They're everywhere you've looked while listening to this. Every mirror, every window, every shadow. And tonight, when you're all alone, when the lights are off, when you're just about to fall asleep, they'll remind you that you listened, that you invited them in, that you're part of their world now. Welcome to your new nightmare. Population, you.